Starting. And we are live.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to the newest rendition of the uNaice webinar series. Today we're going to go into a very quick and dirty dive into the Google Core update from March, because it's a very relevant theme and well, we have been getting a lot of questions. So we're just going to give you a quick rundown and what to do in case you have been hit already. So without further ado, first of all, I'm Steffi, your host today. I'm directly out of the production of uNaice, so I usually work with the technology itself. And with me is Mareike, as always, and Mareike is going to make sure that everything works nicely in the background, and she's also going to moderate the chat. And also, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to put them down into the chat directly, and we will queue them for the Q&A in the end of the little presentation. And now, without further ado, I'm going to dive right in, if that's all right with all of you. So, the Google Core update. I'm guessing every one of you heard about it at some point, because there have been quite a lot of them lately and recently. So it started somewhere in summer of last year with the August update. It continued with the October update, and then there was the November update, which was just 1 month later. So you had 2 major updates in as many months. Too. So, and especially the November update, it's considered to be the road opener for the March update that has been coming out these past few weeks. So one of the biggest changes for those updates is that they weren't introduced in, we give you a date and then it's 1 day and then it's over. But they have been going on for weeks now. So the March update in particular has a runtime of over 4 weeks. So yeah, that's major, obviously. So for our agenda today, we'll have a look at the 2 key changes, because it's really just in brackets, just 2 key changes. So the first is an improvement in the quality ranking, and the second one is an improvement in the spam policies, and also there have been introduced new policies in addition. So, and in the end, we're going to have a look at the summary. So what does this mean for you, and what do you have to do if you don't want to be hit? All right. So the improved quality ranking, I divided those into the enhancements of the search engine, so of Google, the refinements they did, and the expected outcome of that, because it's, like I said, it's 2 different things. And then we have a look at the policies, especially at the scaled content abuse policy, because that is what is relating directly to automated content. All right. So the March 2024 core update. Let's have a look at. Just have to look if I find everything right. So the 2 main key changes are, first of all, as I said, the improved quality ranking and the new and improved spam policies. So in the improvement of the quality ranking, that is, let's call it a direct change to the search engine. So as they always do, they enhanced the algorithm to really be able to identify high value content and to penalize low quality content. So not only, it would be one change to just say, okay, high quality gets valued higher, but at the same time, so they're not only pushing high quality content, but they're specifically targeting low quality content. So that's 2 different points of attack they're using here. And the policies or the policy changes, I mean, they're basically targeting the same goal, pushing high quality content and penalizing low quality content. But the policies help Google to be able to actually penalize that, because if the policy says it's fine, can't give you a penalty for that. So that is the main factor here, right? So first of all, let's have a quick overview of the search engine enhancement as such. So why is Google even doing this? So obviously, Google has a very high dedication to user satisfaction. The focus on search quality enhancement underscores Google's commitment to ensuring that users really receive the most relevant and helpful information they can get in their search results, and thus staying on top of all the other search engines. I mean, Firefox, I'm sorry, Lycos or Ecosia, for example. There is some search engines out there that are rapidly gaining some space. Obviously, not as much as Google. It's still the biggest thing out there, but there have been competitors at this point. Also, and let's not understate that, it is Google's business model to be able to have some kind of control over the search results, because they do sell advertisements. So they do sell those hard-earned first spaces. And if people kind of, how do I say this without if people know how to get there, then that is also kind of lowering the value of those advertisement spaces. So yeah, it's two things. It's not only that, obviously, but it is also. So that continuous improvement process from Google is obviously very important to, one, keep the search engine running and keep it safe, but two, also to keep it relevant to users. So Google's approach to search quality enhancements does obviously involve regular updates and refinements to its algorithm specifically and to its policies, to reflect these ongoing efforts to adapt. And the last and most important point, obviously, so it's not only about user satisfaction, but it's also about trust and credibility. So by maintaining its credibility, and especially the credibility of its search results, Google really just stays relevant, and it can foster trust among other users, as everyone basically does. Right. Now, what do the enhancements actually do? So with the March 2024 core update, Google has implemented algorithmic improvements, so its core ranking system. And these enhancements are specifically designed to prioritize the most helpful and original content, while at the same time minimizing the presence of unoriginal, or how they called it, low quality content in their search results. So that's the most important key point of this whole operation. So as you can see, the objective, so I kind of just pulled it together to keep it simple. So the objective was to surface the most helpful information and reduce unoriginal content. So that is the main focus of the enhancements. Now, for the refinements are also part of the enhancements to the core algorithm. So like I said, the key objective, or one of the key objectives of the core update, is to reduce the prevalence of low quality content in the search results. So to keep that, or to keep up with that goal, Google has refined the core ranking system further to even better identify and prioritize the content that provides genuine value to the users. So it's not about and we will have a look at the ETA, which has now been modified to EETA a bit further down. So yeah, that refinement really goes into the actual genuine value. So it's not about who has the longest text with the most buzzwords. Obviously, that has always been a bit tricky, but now they're going into in-depth experience. So they want to see experience in the text and in the content that is written. All right. So, right, the impact. So as a result of all these enhancements and refinements, Google anticipates a significant improvement in the quality of search results. That's what they said. And the projection so far is that there will be around 40% reduction in low quality, unoriginal content appearing in the search results. Spoiler, there were already pages hit that don't understand it because they didn't even have any AI generated content. Why those were hit? Again, a bit further down in the summary. Right. So that for the projection. Right. So now for the interesting part, the spam policies. So additionally to the actual core updates, so the algorithmic updates, there were policies that were now improved, and one that is new, which is specifically the one about the expired domains, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, we have expired domains, scaled content abuse, and site reputation abuse, which are the biggest levers this time around. And what those mean, I just go right in there. In particular, we have a look at here. So for the scaled content abuse, so scaled content, I can't even pronounce anymore, obviously relates mostly to automated content. That can be AI generated content. That can also be content you get from, I don't know, from Fiverr, for example. So it's not exclusive to automated content in the KI, data to text, whatever bubble. It's really about content that has been written at scale with the sole intent of manipulating search rankings. And manipulating is a very strong word here to use. So obviously we all know how a search engine works, and obviously we want to give our customers or everyone who has a web page want to give relevant information. And if your information is relevant, it's only fair that people find that information. Of course, there is people who go to extreme ends to get very high up in the search results. So if you have a blog and you write some blog articles regularly, and they are very, very well, how do I say this? Not only well written, but you also have, some sustainable sources below that and things like that, you should be fine, even if you use AI or data to text or whatever you use, even if you use AI to write them. But if you have a blog and you're just continuously putting out content every day, 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and that content is very on the surface. So let's say we're writing about, I don't know, let's say we're writing about cups for like care. So and we're writing about, okay, this cup is nice and that cup is nice, and it's always the same content. So you just have a cup and you're describing what it looks like from the outside. And that's very on the top. That's very top level, not surface. That's very surface level content in the understanding of Google. Now, if you would take that same text and you put some in-depth knowledge that only an expert for cups has, let's say the glaze around it is somewhat special, or the material used is very, very specific, things like that. So these pieces of information that show the engine that this is not content that has been scaled just to have content. So so that is meant with manipulating the search rankings. So it's really about scaled content that was specifically written just for the rankings, just to put keywords in there and get content out of there. So as I said, I mean, I put it in quotes here. This includes content created through automation or other means aimed at artificially boosting search visibility. All right. Now, for the other two policies, these are about site reputation and expired domain abuse. Site reputation abuse is when a third party is taking third-party content of very low value and it's hosting it on reputable websites to capitalize on their strong reputation. Now, this sounds like some third party is taking a reputable website and just putting their content there. That's not quite it. It actually also means, let's say you have a guest writer from a third party. So let's say you have a big blog about technology and you have a guest author from another company. And that guest article is obviously just there for advertising their services and to give them some backlinks. That is that kind of artificial search engine manipulation they're talking about. If you have a genuine guest article that is actually giving value, that's fine. But, being let's stay with the tech website, being a test website that's basically just selling spots for guest authors from companies to be able to praise their own company or praise their product and just be able to put in backlinks to their webpage, that is then again artificial. So that would be site reputation abuse. And that is now in the Google policy and hereby permitted. And is permitted the right word? Anyway, it's prohibited, sorry, and will get penalized now. The same goes for expired domain abuse. So sometimes you have domains that had a very good reputation, but for some reason or another, it's now expired. So it doesn't belong to the original owner anymore. And there's no content on there. And you have a third party, for example, that's repurposing this expired domain to boost their own search rankings. So sometimes they just, again, it's like with the guest articles. So they're just putting more content on that expired domain, which is now again obviously no longer expired because they bought it, to give themselves some backlinks. So they're appearing to be another party who is just writing very positively about their site, but in truth it's themselves. So that is now officially called expired domain abuse and is again penalized by Google. Right. Also, and this is very important, Google is now considering repurposed expired domains as spam. So that might be something that is going to pop up in a later core update. It's not yet defined as spam. It will be penalized if they know that it's a third party using it. So again, expired domain abuse. It's not yet flagged as spam as of today. Right. So conclusion and Q&A. Now the conclusion is a bit bigger than you would think. Right. So what are the 5 takeaways for you, for your company, for your website, for whatever you need on Google? Now, I just realized that. Okay. Google is completely de-indexing websites. So all websites that are found violating those new Google guidelines and those new policies, or who are employing questionable SEO tactics, the ones we mentioned before, with scaled content abuse and things like that, They will not only be penalized, but completely removed, both from the search results and the index. So it's no longer, okay, you get dropped down a few spots. No, you're completely gone. And that leads us to two right away. The penalties are swift and were swift. So what is very notable about this core update this time around is that the penalties were very hard and very fast. So if you're still online, so if your web page is still on Google, you're fine for now. Because if you were hit, you would know by now. There's no around that. If you were hit, you would know, because you wouldn't be found anymore. Your traffic would be down to zero right at that moment. So, right, 3, websites that survive previous updates are no longer immune. Usually there was this, it wasn't a myth, it was more like a saying, about evergreen content. So there were certain pages that have been around forever. So since 2011, 2012, 2013, so really old pages. Obviously, AI content wasn't even a thing back then, so they were mostly safe because of the history they had. So they were grown pages. They're not safe anymore. So there were older websites that weren't spared either, and there were some people cheering that, saying that it's about time that those low quality sites were kind of omitted by the core updates just because of their age. But there were others that were worrying quite a bit, and this is where we're going to go into the EEAT, what I mentioned earlier. So I wrote it down here. So we have, usually it was, so for now it was the EAT is what Google goes for in their text. So if your text shows a certain expertise and a certain authoritativeness, or, well, the content of your page, let's call it like this, and generates trust, then that content is considered high value by Google. And Google has just now, introduced a new bubble to this, which is the experience bubble, right? So what does this mean? It means, and I have to be the experience bubble. So that means that you might have had old pages that were showing, okay, we are the authority on this specific topic, and we have a lot of expertise in this topic, and we have gained a lot of trust. But if the content is no longer showing actual experience in that field, for whatever reason, then those were kicked left and right as well. Now, I'm trying to give you an example here. Let me think. Okay, right. So there was one publisher, had a network of different small niche pages. So let's call it a blogger. So he had some niche pages. I think it was 6 to 7 or 8 niche very, very small topic pages. And all of his pages were affected. Even though those pages, they were not new, they were established within the last 5 to 6 years. So they have been around for some time. You could think that there would be experience just by the sheer number of years these pages have been around. Also, and I want to emphasize this, the content was primarily human written. There was minimal assistance from AI at that point. But all of his blogs, all of his pages are now on zero traffic. That is because the broad range of topics of these sites covered were very, how do I say this? They're very surface level. So let's take again, we take a niche product, let's say a cup again. So even though he showed expertise on cups and he was like, yeah, very nice looking cup and this and that, the expertise, the actual, so this level here, the experience level wasn't shown because the deep topical knowledge that you need to display for Google to actually keep you on a high regard, is usually not covered by niche sites. So that's why whole networks were fallen down through this core update this time. Right. And while we're at the topic of EEAT, outdated and error-filled sites are vulnerable, obviously. So that would be one more of those 5 core things that might happen to you. So because Google has now added this extra factor, that would mean that all your content has to be regenerated. Content, especially content generated by AI, will always be outdated and is not error-free and will therefore be penalized now. So this is why I said over and over again, it's not only automated content and scaled content, it's including automated content. So Google is very particular about the quality of their content, and with the introduction of the new experience bubble, obviously AI cannot offer this. AI text will not be able to offer this kind of depth. AI can offer this. Google realized that, and this is why they now included experience. So this is going to be interesting. Right. And the last one is even small AI content sites were affected this time around. So this was very interesting, and a lot of people thought this wouldn't be happening at this point. But Google's ability to actually detect purely AI-generated content has become so refined that even the smallest players in this field have been penalized right away. So there was really there was no forewarning. They were just gone instantly. Right. Now for the really interesting part. First aid. Identifying common site quality issues. How do you know if your page might be included in one of the next core updates? Because there will be more coming forward. This was just the first one of a big wave that is going to happen. So there will be more. So first of all, have a look at invasive advertising that impairs the site experience. Again, Google has a very high dedication to user satisfaction in their search results. So yeah, it's almost like Google feels responsible for the experience users have on the sites they visit. So site experience is very important. Have a look at your site experience. If a user comes onto your page and is bombarded with pop-ups, that's gonna knock you down a bit. Obviously, superficial or repetitive content. Again, this is due to the new EEAT. So the second E that has now been added. Again, a copious low-grade local landing pages. Don't. I don't know how to have a look at your landing pages. Look at your website in the whole of it, in its whole. And see if you have a cohesive structure. So if Google as a search engine can see, okay, this is a website that has a lot of good information and is not just, a lot of landing pages loosely threaded together to look like a website. Again, content lacking EEAT. Go into your content now. Have a look at the content on your website that is SEO relevant, which is category pages, listing pages, magazines, blogs, and so on. Everything you might have as actual proper content. Product descriptions, not so much. They're not indexed anyway. So everything that is beyond the 500 word mark, have a look at it. Look if it's lacking any of those I'm going to go one page back so you can see. Have a look at it. See if there is sources in there, so backlinks to actual authoritative pages. See if it shows expertise, but also experience. So not only, let's say you're in the technical field. Don't just tell people, okay, for this to work, you have to do step 1, 2, 3, 4, but maybe also include, let's call it storytelling from your own experience. So if you have parts in there. Yeah, in my experience, if you do this and that, that is better. So this is what Google is looking for nowadays. Also, obviously, misleading affiliate links, have a look out for that, but that should be clear, I'm guessing. And obviously, money pages. So every page that is excessively sales oriented will now be taken down pretty much immediately. Right. Now, first aid, mitigating the impact of Google Core Updates. So what to do to soften the blow, basically. Obviously, or to not be hit at all. Obviously, regularly update your content. I even wrote this out in whole sentences to make sure everyone understands what I'm saying here. Ensure your content is current and valuable, and cater to Google's preferences, not only to your customers, obviously, which is a bit, but cater to Google's preferences. Focus on the user experience. Again, Google is looking for the experience for its users. So any page that has great content but a really bad user experience, you're gonna be hit. You're gonna be penalized, and you're gonna go down. And again, prioritize those EEAT principles. Go into your content right now and have a look at your content. Right, and that is time for Q&A. I just realized that I wrote this in German. Sorry. Questions so far? So this was a very quick roundabout.
So at the moment, there are no questions. So feel free to ask your questions. If not, I think you explained it very well. Yeah, that's a good sign.
I know it was a bit fast, but it's a pretty broad topic, and I didn't want anyone to sit here for hours. I hope that was all right.
We can give them another minute. Otherwise, feel free to contact us via mail, and then we will answer your questions afterwards. That would be fine as well.
Exactly.
So,
no?
There's someone typing. I don't know if it's a reply or a question. So,
okay, all right, we'll wait. So yeah. So I was. What were you most surprised about in this update? Everyone's typing. I'm really wondering. Mareike? I was asking you, not the people.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I thought we were asking the people, but now the question is there. So
all right.
Do you see it, or should I read it out loud?
So building backlinks nowadays benefits both parties. Well, I mean, that has been benefiting both parties all the time. Otherwise, people wouldn't offer it. But yeah, it's especially important. So with the trust factor, definitely, but that has been around for quite some time already. Important is that you backlink to a actual valid source. So again, be careful with the what was it called? With the expired domain abuse, or with the me and my words again. Yeah, you know what I want to say. So see to it, if you're gonna go for a backlink, try to work out something where there's actual value in the content that is providing the link to you. So if the content looks like an advertisement piece, that is going to lose the trust factor quite easily, quite fast. Yeah, both parties. Yeah. Now he's typing again. Okay, right. So while he's still typing, so I was very surprised, to be honest, with the core update, because I was expecting a lot more hits on AI generated text for the sole reason that they were AI generated. So I found it very surprising that the reason they're hitting AI generated content was because of the lack of experience, and because people were so quick in figuring out, how to modify AI generated content to look like actual valuable content. So that was quite surprising. And it also means that basically automated content is fine as long as you're doing it the right way. So again, data to text, there you have a lot of obviously experience in there. Otherwise you couldn't even set it up. So that's fine again. And AI content might be fine if you put in your experience as well and don't rely on it solely. All right. All right. Anyone else who has any questions?
I think for now there are no questions. I see the people leaving the room, so
right.
we got to the end. Thanks, Steffi, for your explanations, and for everyone, thanks for joining in, and feel free to contact us if you have any further questions.